Hi everybody, Russ on the West Ham Network. Hope you are all safe and well, my friends. If you're new around here, give it a like, give it a comment, give it a share, give it a bloody good subscribe. We've hit 5 million video views, movie views, video views. 5 million views the other day. Mental. Thank you. Now, with over 24 hours to go, just over 24 hours to go until the transfer window shuts. Why is it always a window, not a door? Time is very much ticking for us in terms of getting any extra bodies for the remainder of the season. Loads of rumours and news flying about of ins and outs. So what I thought I'd do today is bring to you sort of the latest news and likely ins and outs in preparation for tomorrow. But before we get into that, just want to give a massive congratulations to the West Ham women who are through to the 5th round of the Vitality Women's FA Cup. Hopefully the men can replicate that tonight against Derby. The West Ham women played a dogged Wolves side with captain Danny again. Danny scoring. She scored last week as well. And a West Ham fan as well, she is. They'll find out who the 5th round opponent is also tonight. Not on the One Show, but on BBC's Sports Day show. The men's draw is on the One Show tonight as well, so we'll know who we're potentially playing if we get through the game against Derby. Incidentally, the women are playing Arsenal at the Chigwell Construction Stadium this Sunday at 6:45 if you want to go along and support them. But anyway, let's crack on and talk about rumours. Ins and outs. Let's start with this man, Michail Antonio. Let's start with him. He is in demand. Now, there's several clubs who have put offers or are likely to put offers in tomorrow. We know Wolves have always been interested in him. We know Chelsea apparently had an interest in him on a loan deal. Nottingham Forest apparently probably the most likely to put a deal through. Maybe we bought him from Forest for £7 million, something like 7-8 years ago, something like that. And Everton also, and they're a bit flush for cash now, having sold Gordon to Newcastle, £45 million. So maybe they might put a cheeky bid in for Antonio. I think that's very much dependent on getting someone in. This is, at the end, I've done a chart to sort of show how I can see the transfer window looking like in the next sort of 36 hours. But Antonio is one person who is there. We know there's several clubs interested in him. Another player who could be out the door could be Thilo Kehrer. So apparently there's interest in him from Inter Milan. And they're considering a raid for the German international defender. The Nerazzurri is set to lose Milan Skriniar, who is set to join PSG when his contract runs out this summer at the San Siro, and they're apparently now already making plans for his replacement. And a number of options are under the radar in Italy. And according to Gazzetta dello Sport, West Ham defender Thilo Kehrer has appeared on their radar. Inter previously looked at Thilo when he was on the books at Schalke before he went to PSG. The 26-year-old may be tempted by the idea of a move to Italy to sign for Inter, with West Ham potentially having no European football next season, although that could be possible if we win the Europa Conference, obviously we're in a precarious position in the league. He started with a massive aplomb, is that the right expression? And then sort of his performances have sort of very similar to the teams that all died off, really. So we'll see. Obviously, Harrison Ashby's, he's in imminent move to Newcastle for £3 million. Could we see them get rid of another defender? I don't think so, unless we get a couple in, which seems we're getting very close to squeaky bum time in terms of that. So obviously we let Craig Dawson go to Wolves, as well as people like Will Green, who's just got into Coventry, into Colchester. We have Colin Coventry out on loan again to Rotherham, where they signed Jordan Hugill the same day. Hey, big George. Never walked out to the balls, did he? And also Pierre went to Sunderland as well, didn't he? So I'm not too sure I still think there's a player there. I still do. I still do. Um, Elsewhere, in terms of potential ins, let's talk about defenders. Let's talk about Kevin Mbabu. Now, apparently, West Ham are now considering a move for the Fulham defender before the January. Can't even say the words, let alone the names. Deadline day. It leaves a gap in the squad at right back with obviously Ashby going, potentially Tilo as well. And Kevin could fill the gap. He's a Swiss international, 22 caps, signed for Fulham in the summer from Wolfsburg. In a £6.4 million deal. Things haven't gone to plan for him. He's 27. He signed to boost his chances of getting into the World Cup with Switzerland. However, started as backup to Kenny Tete, who's been playing really well for Fulham. Then he picked up an injury, and then Mario Silva preferred Bobby de Cordova Reed for the right back role. He's since been absent for the matchday squads recently, and maybe a move to West Ham could be on the cards. He's a good player. He's a good player. Someone I think we was looking at last season before making the decision to go to Fulham. But it does seem right back is an options for several players. Obviously, Deej Spence is someone we spoke about before, but I don't think that's going to happen with the Tottenham link. Maybe Callum Chambers from Aston Villa could be maybe the most likely. Obviously, he's currently at Aston Villa. He moved from Arsenal to Aston Villa, and that move was sorted when Unai Emery was the Arsenal manager. Now the Unai Emery is the Aston Villa manager. Maybe he'll move him. Maybe he just doesn't fancy him. Doesn't fancy him as a player, so we'll see. Others looking at centre backs, as per the Daily Mail and several articles, we know that Moisey identified Michael Keane as a target for the remaining days of the window. He's only made one appearance in the league so far for Everton and needs to play more game time. He's at the stage of his career. He's 30 years old. Obviously, lots of parallels to Craig Dawson as well, and would be a good replacement for Craig Dawson, I'd suggest. With the whole thing with Craig Dawson, any time there's a less exciting signing, you're always going to have that in your mind now, aren't you, Craig? Although I think there's a slight spanner in the works here with the whole sort of Deitch to Everton thing. Keane played under Deitch at Burnley, had a good time there. So maybe his desire to leave the club may be curtailed slightly by that, possibly. Here it's Keane, there's Tarkowski, and there's Dwight McNeil, isn't it? 3 Burnley players there. Although apparently Dwight McNeil's relationship with Sean Dyche was starting to be very good, but towards the end fell apart, and that's why he left. But we'll see. Maybe his change, as maybe his view of Everton may have changed with the signing of Dyche as the new manager. Perhaps I don't know. Other names under consideration: Nat Phillips, although it looks like it was it Wolfsburg or Bayer Leverkusen apparently looking at him. I don't know. I think it's gonna be. I just don't want to be scrabbling about, but I think we will be. In terms of other bits and bobs, we'll talk about Moffey. The saga that is this January transfer window has been Terry Moffey. He was the latest on him was he was left out of FC Lorient this weekend. His squad, their head coach Roger Lebris, admitted that the West Ham and Southampton target has been distracted by transfer rumours. And so was left out in the same way that Moses Caicedo was left out of the Brighton team and various others. Lorient found themselves in a similar situation with Moffey in terms of his head's been turned potentially, leaving the Nigerian international at home as Rennes travelled to the Stade de la Moustoir on Friday night. So it looks, it's Nice or Marseille, I think, and then in terms of the domino effect, former West Ham linked player for Marseille, Bama Dieng, he's now gone to Lorient. No, has he gone to Lorient? Yeah, he's gone to Lorient already now. He wasn't. He'd found a medical. Now he's gone to Lorient, and now Nice have signed sold a West Ham signed another linked player, Andy Defoe. He's gone. I think he's gone to Rennes. So there's a space there for this for Moffat. I don't think he's going to come. It's a real shame because I think he'd be perfect for us, but I just can't see it happening. And similarly, there was reports last week that the Almin Ligue 2 defender, the Senegal international, Mendy, was coming to West Ham. It all been agreed apparently by him and his agents, but there are apparently some work permit issues we've heard, and so Monaco are potentially swooping in because obviously they're in France, same as Armin. So it makes sense. So again, that one may not happen. So we may be scrabbling around. I mean, this is how I see it all looking in terms of ins and outs. I love a graph, as you know. Now we know that Ashby's gone. Antonio, Tilo Kehrer, 50-50 based on if we bring players in. Deck, we know he's not going to go until the summer at the earliest. And then you've got the whole load of players. We haven't even spoken about Matteo Condozi. Obviously the Marseille midfielder, former Arsenal midfielder. Looks like he's going to go to Villa, I think. Obviously, again, there's the Arsenal connection. He was playing for Arsenal when, I believe, when Unai Emery was the manager. About 26 million quid, apparently. They claim Marseille want, which is not a bad deal. Although, apparently, L'Equipe reckon that Aston Villa haven't submitted the official bid for him just yet. So we'll wait and see what happens. Any contact's been done by the intermediaries and the agents. Michael Keane, I just don't think he's less likely. We've got Kevin Mbappe, who I think is more likely. We've got Jamal from Newcastle. With Ashby coming in, could that mean that they could get rid of a defender? He's fallen down the pecking order at Newcastle. Callum James, I see being most likely out of those sort of defender links. And then we've got Leonardo from in Brazil. We put a package together for him, apparently. I think if he comes, it will be Antonio out. And again, it could be almost very similar money, about 7 to 9 million quid. So that, I don't know. I'd love it. I'd love us to get some signings in. But we'll see. The only way you can check out the latest is by making sure you subscribe to the West Ham Network. We'll have the live stream in the evening tomorrow night. We'll have some special guests, as always, ex-players, other fan channels, some journalists, all popping in, a bit like an open house, so make sure you watch the whole thing, because you don't know who's going to come. We don't even know when everyone's going to turn up, so they could all turn up together, then everyone leaves. Tonight we've got the Derby game with the watch-along and the review show immediately after that. It's almost not an afterthought, but obviously with so much stuff happening the day after the transfers rumours in the terms of the deadline day, it's almoys like we've forgotten we're playing Derby tonight, which is a bit weird. And we can't, because they're a good side. 19 games undefeated. They've won the last 5 in the league or something like that in a row, and they're going to be a tough side. And we need to be on our best to get a result there. That's for sure. At Pride Park. Safe travels for anyone who's up there, and I hope you enjoy the game. And if you're not going to the game, come along and listen to us warbling on about it during the watch along. Take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble. Come on, you Irons, keep the faith. Let's get through to the next round, and I'll see you guys very, very soon, my friends. Bye bye.